Hi, I'm Alexia, founder of headtrash.co.uk and a head trash clearance specialist. And in terms of if I could impart any advice for you, if you feel that you've got head trash, then one of the first things I'd probably encourage you to do is think about what coping strategies could you use when you're really going through a moment where you're thinking, oh, life's getting too much and I'm going through stress, or I've got emotional turbulence going on right now. What can you do right now to help you cope? And popular things that people might want to do are things like exercise, increase the breathing that you're doing, maybe some meditation. Yoga is really, really good. But also seeking out a good friend who can listen to you so you can talk about it and just get it off your chest. But also consider talking to a professional about it. And I think the professionals have not done themselves a favour sometimes, because a lot of people wouldn't think always to go and speak to somebody about getting their head trash cleared. So there's lots of things you can do in the short term to just cope with the day and to get through. But ultimately, obviously, I'll say this, and that is to just book a head trash clearance session and we can just get it sorted. Now, the other thing that can be very helpful to try and navigate your way through your head trash and understand exactly what it is to notice in your life what happens before you suddenly start feeling like life's getting too much. Are there some triggers that occur in your life consistently that just sort of set you off? Maybe it's sort of seeing mess around you at home, or losing control and seeing the chaos around you. Maybe it's the way that people react at work. A good place to look is noticing when you're really, really angry or stressed. And often what tends to be happening right there is somebody has crossed one of your values. So what do I mean by that? Well, for example, you might witness somebody else being really, really rude in the street or in front of you in the queue, and it really winds you up, because for you, rudeness is abhorrent, and for you, being polite is very, very important. So when you witness somebody being rude, it really winds you up. So that's really important to notice, because that means that we can work in a session on the importance of politeness in your life, because then if we can clear the charge around politeness, that means you can witness other people being rude and it just doesn't wind you up, because people are going to be rude all around you, so you might as well just cope better with that. So notice what values are being crossed as you witness people behaving around you that kind of wind you up. Maybe it's people who are fake and a bit of a fraud, because for you integrity is really important. This can be a really, really huge source of our stress that we have in our lives, where we get very stressed because of just the way that people are behaving all around us. And the minute we can calm that down, we can just have a much easier day without having all this stress coming in. In addition to values, another area to look at is your emotions. So what do I mean by emotions? Emotions can be like stalkers. You carry around them with you all day long. And wherever you turn up at a party, at work, there's the emotion right next to you. So it could be anger, it could be stress, it could be frustration. No matter what you do, you always demonstrate this emotion and you can't help yourself. And so understanding maybe where that emotion's coming from, but just having the clarity and the awareness that this emotion is with you all the time can be a very good place to start, because self-awareness can be the first start in trying to clear some of this head trash. But importantly, it means you can bring it to a session and say, hey, you know what, I'm noticing I'm always frustrated, or I'm always stressed, or I'm always angry, and I think it's because of this, but you know what, we don't need to know reasons. And that can be a very good place to start in a head trash session as well. So understanding emotions that seem to be out of control. The thing with emotions is it's best if you can master the emotion rather than the emotion mastering you, because then you can pick it up, use it as you wish, rather than it sort of pushing you along and, you know, the tail wagging the dog kind of scenario. So understanding what's going on with your emotions for you is a really, really good place to start as well in terms of clearing your head trash. So I've just mentioned that emotions can be a big source of head trash for people, and also where your values are being crossed or people sort of treading on your values. And those two things, if they go undealt with and you have a build-up of stress or whatever it is, from this accumulation. And so when I describe what head trash is, I say it's an accumulation of negative patterns of thoughts and behaviour. And this can come from the way that you respond to these external triggers. If you don't clear them and they build up, then that's what stress is. It's this accumulation of all this stuff that's not being sorted out, that's not being resolved. And if you leave stress unresolved for any amount of time, you're going to start noticing the effect on your body. So your skin may start to deteriorate. You might have trouble with your digestive system. There'd be all sorts of things could be happening to your body. And a lot of research now supports the fact that stress is directly linked to the state of health in our body. Now, if you don't address that, that can go a lot worse. And stress, when left unresolved, becomes anxiety. And anxiety is much, much stronger. And how do you know if you're suffering from anxiety? Well, there's some really good telltale signs as to whether that's something that's affecting you in your life. One of those is addictions. You might really be into coffee, into cigarettes, into alcohol, into recreational drugs. Anything like that means that you're really just trying to get rid of that anxious feeling that just sits in the pit of your stomach all the time. Not at a conscious level necessarily, but certainly addictions is a really big sign of anxiety. But also, are you one of those people that when you go on holiday on your 2 weeks off in the year, you're reading a high adrenaline novel, like a spy novel, you go and do windsurfing, wakeboarding, you're jumping out of planes, this adrenaline junkie idea of you can't seem to switch off because you just need this constant buzz. That's because you're constantly pumping yourself with adrenaline as well in this constant state of anxiety. And even when you go away, you keep seeking out the hit. So if you're somebody that keeps seeking out this stuff, then that's also a sign that you may be experiencing quite severe anxiety. And then if you leave that unresolved, then it becomes depression. And depression can be quite scary, whether it's with a small d or a big D. And so where that leads, it's really important to try and deal with all this accumulation of head trash before it trickles from stress to anxiety to depression, because that's when it can start getting quite scary. So my advice to you is don't believe that you can't clear this stuff. Seek the help of somebody and just try and get it resolved, because it's not worth not doing. Your body will suffer, your life will suffer, your happiness will suffer, and life is just too short.